Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. My name is Arnaud St. Paul, and today we are on the last session of WHOS, and we're finishing with the term abundance. Abundance is an amazing tool for anything that you embark on, any aspect of your life, whether it is creating a company or just having an amazing, beautiful, simple life, maybe with family and all and friends. Abundance is a characteristic of the world we live in that exists, but we tend to lose ourselves in its counterpart, which is scarcity. And because our mind is so well trained to measure, to separate, to condition itself into a space where everything is limited, because the world we are in feels separate, right? We have each object that are different, and I'm not going to buy 15 cars. Why, right? Why would I need it? But one, and then maybe another one, and so on. And the same story applies to money or to situations we are in. And that's the thing. We are always in that space of being conditioned by our environment, by how we think about it, and therefore how we measure it. Abundance is on the other side. It's the heart-driven aspect of ourselves. When, for instance, to give you an idea, when we are in abundance is, for instance, whether we are in love with someone, it feels completely illimited, infinite, right? And that's the thing. We cannot measure that. The same applies to, well, if we look at business, in technology or in finance, there is an abundance of possibilities of growth. A technology business can have an hyperbolic growth, which is abundance, right, in its expression from a business standpoint. The same applies in finance. So abundance is there, and even the material world is abundant. It has 8 billion people. This is abundance, right? However, our mind tends to believe that this is not for it. We believe that we cannot live in abundance. This is something that is for the others. Why? What if we choose something else? What if we have a conscious choice of populating our day-to-day life with more abundant thoughts, or making choices that goes towards more expansion and less limitation and constraints? So this is the journey on which we're going to work together, and I hope that it will help you in your day-to-day life. So first step first, what is WHOS? Well, in this last edition of WHOS, it's the same thing as usual. We're here to help you, support you every week, guided by a 30 years research that led to the Heartful Method. And we are revisiting a core concept of our reality. And abundance is probably one of the smallest kernels, so to speak, the very foundation on which you can choose to base your reality or not. And good news is, well, good news, I'm not sure, but to nowadays, 90 and some % of people tend to live from a place of scarcity more than a place of abundance. So what if you're one of them that would choose otherwise? The whole purpose of that is to create a more symphonic you, whether it's a business or an individual. It's how can I allow myself to live in a place of abundance, of speed, of growth. After this presentation, you can join us on tapwa.com/whosfree. You can scan this QR code, and I'll be happy to see you there in a few minutes. So, definition of abundance. The term abundance is a very large quantity of something, according to the dictionary. It's a state or condition of having a copious quantity of something. So we look at the word here, quantity. So we're still in the measurement idea. We're not yet into the infinity of possibilities, but still we are getting closer. It's a plentifulness of the good things of life, prosperity. So it's all that. And we have this amazing drawing or painting that we have here that expresses the abundance of nature also, right? When we talk about nature, we feel it is about abundance. And what if we can live that in our day-to-day? That's the question that we are asking today. And to help us understand that a bit better or grasp it, maybe, we have this chart here that expresses this infinite flow that exists between I, meaning I, Arnaud, I believe to be me, I have this identity, these past stories, and I live by them. The problem is these past stories I'm identifying to tend to limit me in a specific box that we call identity, ego. And that ego, by definition, limits the scope or the range within which I can explore my life. In other words, I will continue repeating the same patterns until I make a conscious choice. So that's one aspect of the dance. And then there is the infinite flow of life, the self, that doesn't have any measurement, that is completely abundant. And we tend to have that constant a dance between one and the other. Do we dare to be in that flow, to be in that infinite aspect of ourselves? Do we allow ourselves to rise from a space of low frequency emotions to a space of high frequency emotions where we can see easily that well, in anger and desire and so on, it is difficult to have a sense of abundance. Whether if I am in joy, in gratitude, in love, then it becomes natural. It is actually your nature. And that's the thing. We're here to realize that. So it's all a matter of perspective. And this chart here is quite interesting. If you see our reality, the space reality we're in is like this 3D cube. If we look at it from a one-dimension standpoint, it's actually a line. Interesting. So if we push it further in a 4-dimension world, which is space plus time, we have that shape, which are actually 4 cubes, if I'm not mistaken, connected one to another, and we have that more complex shape. So that's the world we live in. Again, that complex shape we have here could be expressed as a one-dimensional line. However, we live in this world and it seems natural to us, right? And how does that relate to our conversation? Well, the thing is, again, it's a matter of perspective. Do we really want to continue measure ourselves by the same measure, or we are ready to explore and go beyond what is being seen and experienced, and explore other aspects of ourselves? And so that line, for instance, if you were believing to be like a line, to be in a 3D cube seems to be very out of this world. And you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12 possibilities to be aligned in this cube. That's wow, amazing. That's a 12 dimension from that one line. 12 possibilities of being more than just a line, or at least a different orientation of that same line. So again, very, very expansive and it would be difficult for that line to really experience that if it was not ready to believe that it is also, or can be at the very least, a 3D cube, let alone a 4D cube, right? So the question is, what if these 3D cubes or this 4D cube that we're talking about, which is natural to us, right, as a being on this planet, what if we actually much, much more than that? What if we are a 12D cube? And you can see here, this shape is absolutely amazing in terms of possibilities. So this is a collection of thousands and thousands and millions, I don't know exactly the number, of 3D and 4D cubes. In other words, if you were to be that 12D cube, 12-dimension cube, you would have many, 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 many possibilities of experiencing you. In other words, an abundance of possibilities that are there at your fingertips. And that's the thing. Are you ready to open up to that? And you see the pathway from 4 to 5 to 6 to 7 to 8. That's beautiful. Well, even 6 is beautiful. And then 9 and 12, that's amazing. So you see the expansion that is available to you now when you allow it, when you open to it. And that's the thing. Are you ready to step in and check it out? So let's see what we have. So one aspect is for this operation to happen, for this transmutation to happen, we're here to go from the mind that is measuring and is always in that sense of survival to the heart that is only about unconditionality, infinity. So if we look at the actual physical organ, what is interesting is the very first organ to be born is the heart itself. It starts in week 6. And then the brain comes afterwards on week 9. In the same ideas, here we have numbers. The heart is 5,000 times more powerful at the electromagnetic field level than the brain. 100 times more powerful in terms of electricity. The electric field is 100 times more powerful. The heart's projection or field is 10 feet around your body, your physical body. It's actually probably much more than that, but we can't measure it today. So you see, there is a lot more than what meets the eye. And that's the question. Are we ready to that? So just to give you an idea, if the brain is this size, that would be the heart from an electric field standpoint. That's already an amazing difference. And if we do the same for the electromagnetic field, this is the heart, and this is the brain. It's very super small here. And that's the thing. It's a bit like the 3D and the 12D cube. Imagine this is the 3D that believes that it is a 3D cube, and then this is the 12D that is within ourselves. Now, we have access to it anytime. It is our inner abundance. And that brings us to this chart, which is quite interesting here. So on the left, you have the mind. The mind is I, it's the ego, and it is in constant identification. It's dispersed, it's past and future. It's looking at past stories or future expectations. It is in reaction mode, on autopilot. And therefore, it has a very strong closed loop of identification with reality, with anything that happens in its experience. And then we have the hearts. The heart is I am that I am. The mind becomes a tool. And in that case, the heart is by itself. It is in its own presence. It is centered. It happens now only. There's no more past or future. And it is in interaction and not anymore in reaction. That's the thing. So in that scope, you can see that everything becomes easier, and it's less about measurement and more about experiencing all that you can be. So are you ready for that? So if we look at the same chart, and I'm sorry for the inversion in terms of graph here, but basically the same, the mind is going to lead us towards more chaos. There will be a bit of harmony, but more chaos. But more importantly, in a fear-based experiences, it will allow us to have more of a scarcity-based struggling growth in whichever aspect of your life we're talking about, whether it's business or personal, is the same thing. Whether in the case of a heart-driven growth, we're talking about more harmony on one side and an abundance-based hyperbolic growth, like this arrow that you see here. So again, which choice do you make? It's always about choice, and that choice you can start now. One of them is to come and see us and work together. The bottom line is we have an amazing life, which through the spiral of time enables us to see one of these angles of this 12D cube we were talking about earlier. We have that capacity today to do it, and every moment here on. We have that possibility to explore one facet of the cube each time. And therefore, there is an abundance of opportunities to grow and becoming more aware of ourselves, be more present. And therefore, there's an opportunity, an abundance of opportunities to be whichever is the intention and the vision you have. There's never a limitation on that, but the one that you're putting on yourself. And this is a very strong but, because this is the only one that really exists. The world, as you see it, is a reflection of you. Therefore, if you put a limitation on yourself, therefore the world will bring you back that image. And that image that shows up in each and every frame of the movie of your life. Every single frame is one moment. You have the opportunity to go deeper in it and dive deeper and live it completely and fully in the infinity of what it can be. And then you can go to the next moment and the next moment. And that creates the dance of your life. Now, which kind of dance do you want to live? The fear-based one or the heart-based one? That's a question we always have to answer every single moment. The whole game we are in is, are we ready to surrender to oneness, to that whole heart that we are also, and not just that little ego mind that is up there. This is your totality of your being. That 12D cube is all that. I is just one facet of that 12D cube. So you can imagine the potential that you have within yourself. It's staggering. It's actually infinite. So how does that apply to my day-to-day life, would you ask? Well, it's quite simple. It's all about alignment and resonance. When you are you have a vision of something, whatever that is, you align with it. You align your emotional body, your mind body. They all share the same vision. And they all feed on each other, meaning the physical, emotional mind are all interlinked and all in coherence with one another towards that manifestation. Here in this case, a house, but it could be anything. It could be your dream company or your dream partner, same thing. And then automatically you align with the outcome. So in other words, in the next frame, as I was showing earlier, shows up that manifestation or that alignment of what you were focusing on here now becomes an actual experience, which is a reflection of what is happening inside you. And that's the whole thing. That's how it works. So again, what do you choose? Do you choose fear-based or heart-based? Obviously, you can see that the moment you are in a fear-based relationship with yourself or anything you look at, you short-circuit this process. And therefore, there is a low probability for you to be able to align with whichever vision you have. More so that these fears, most of the time, are actually connected with something that is imaginative and not a reality that happens in your day-to-day. So in other words, you are lost in the maze of your mind or emotions, and therefore are not able to foster such alignment. And it is in play, in presence, in love of your vision that alignment manifests. So now we're getting to the poem, and I'm going to read that poem now with you. So if you want to close your eyes. And just 1 second. Infinite possibility. Eternal choices and experiences. No limit to what can be, but the focus of my eye. Where to look, when to sway. All potentials at my service, for me to select where my eye should lay. Expand, rejoice. All that I want to be, I can experience. For it is the very reason of each unique moment, magnificent dance of endless love. Thank you so much. This is coming from my book, I is Born. You can find it on tapweb.com/I. And without further ado, I hope you'll be able to join us on the live Q&A. You can scan this QR code here or type tapweb.com/who's free, and I'll see you in a minute. Thank you. Bye for now.